Hey guys, Sebastian here from Walgrace Vintage. Welcome to our gallery. In today's video, we'll be introducing the SM Fuzz pedals to the Walgrace collection. So right here we have the SM Fuzz, which is built by Scott McKeon. If you haven't heard of Scott, you've definitely heard his playing. He's a really well-known session player that has done tons of work with big artists, including Tom Jones, for example. And he's nowadays making the rounds in social media, becoming a very influential guitarist. He's a phenomenal blues and funk player that I recommend you guys check out. But he's also a great pedal builder, and he has designed and produced this series of pedals called the SM Fuzzes that basically are rooted in vintage designs, and they're focused on obtaining the best fuzz sound possible without some of the drawbacks that more traditional fuzzes might have. So these pedals were originated a while back. Scott basically produced them for himself because he wanted to have that classic vintage fuzz face sound, and they were made in very limited runs. So he partnered up with a friend of his and started to basically produce these pedals. Eventually his career took off and they stopped producing the pedals, and these kind of like went to become well sought after and in high demand in the used market, to the point where Scott started noticing in later years how popular they were and decided to bring them back. And here's where we come to these pedals. So the one that I have right here is the SM Fuzz, and this one is based on a classic Dallas Arbiter fuzz face, similar to what you might have found Hendrix playing. So you can see right here, the pedal is designed quite differently than what you normally tend to see. The controls, first of all, are on the side. These are put there so you can have better access when when the pedal's on the floor, and you can change the settings on the go with your foot. Then you have a big old LED here that you can definitely see from any stage, unlike those old fuzz faces that really didn't have anything. This one is a circuit that is designed to eliminate the problems that you normally find with germanium transistors, which is that they're very sensitive to temperature. And also, as they age, they tend to change a bit, they can drift, and the values can change quite a bit. The germanium transistor that this pedal has is an AC128, and again, it's been hand-picked. I think the deal with a lot of these boutique builders that are basically hand-picking these transistors is that they buy a huge batch, and out of that batch, they select the ones that fit the parameters or the ones that sound best for their pedals. You can imagine already how costly this can be. Reason why some of these pedals tend to be a little bit on the higher price is because out of that batch, a very small percentage might work. So eventually the parts end up becoming very, very expensive. But with that also comes very high quality. These are hand built in the UK, by the way, and they're not that easy to come around. But if you get the chance to play one, definitely try it because it'll surprise you. I would describe the sound as very smooth and robust. I like how sensitive they are to your volume control. If you set them up right, meaning that you put them first in the chain, there's no buffers before, anything like that. If you run them preferably with a battery as well, you're gonna notice how these are such expressive fuzz pedals. When you roll down your volume, the cleans that come out of it are just amazing. It's kind of like the way I would use a pedal like this. It's kind of like a set it and forget it. Leave it on all the time throughout the whole gig, and whatever variation and distortion you might want to have, just control it with your volume knob. From super clean to like crunchy, tube screamer-y type of sound to like full on just Hendrixy fuzz face and anything else in between. So yeah, I mean, I love these pedals. They're super cool, and the SM Fuzz is kind of like, well, their main one right now. They currently have 3 models. They have this one, the Octave Fuzz, and then the SM Fuzz limited edition blackout with a hand-picked NKT 275 red dot transistor, which, if you know about fuzzes, that's a holy grail of transistors if you want that classic Hendrix sound. So yeah, enough said. We'll be using it alongside with this custom shop Strat and the Marshall Studio Plexi, and this is a combination that is just mind-boggling. So let's go ahead and play for a bit so you guys can hear it. There's not much else to say. They just sound incredible. Again, my favorite thing about these style of pedals is how dynamic they are. I just love having so much control over my tone with just the volume of the guitar. That means that I can be 20 feet away from my rig and still be able to get all of that variety from where I am. And that sort of independence and control is just wonderful, especially if you're the type of player that likes to play with dynamics and you want to be able to calm down while still sounding good and full. And then if you want to have like a lot of sustain and kind of like that gain that feels good under your fingers for soloing, you just roll it all the way up and you're there immediately. I feel like you only hear those type of sounds in old vintage fuzzes that, again, a lot of times they tend to be very unstable and quite pricey. So, you know, it's amazing that you can find this on a modern production fuzz. So yeah, let's go ahead and play a bit more on the bridge pickup. Same thing, you know, even for a Strat bridge pickup, which normally tend to be a little brittle and thin sounding, it just makes it sound massive and fat. And that's one of my favorite things about fuzz. You have like this really nice smooth distortion that gives you also a lot of sustain, and it feels really good under your fingers too when you're trying to do some lead parts. And again, just the range, I feel like there's not a single distortion pedal, or at least that I know of, that is gonna give you that amount of range with just a volume control, from pure clean to a bit of crunch to just like blazing all out distortion and anything else in between. So again, that's one of my favorite things about, you know, this pedal. All right, now onto the Octave fuzz. This here, it's probably the most modern offering that they currently have available. This pedal here is kind of like a two-in-one type of situation. It's two independent circuits on each side. The one on the right, it's a classic silicon fuzz circuit that it's quite a bit different from the one that we looked earlier, which was Germanium. The character is totally different, the tone is very different. This one has so much more compression, so much more gain, and it feels very different too while you're playing it. And also this design has more features to tweak it further. So you have on top here volume and fuzz, very self-explanatory. Then down here you have a bias control that allows you to tweak how much voltage you're feeding into the pedal, which is gonna give you almost like a gated Valkyrie type of sound to more like a balls to the wall crazy distortion, and you know, anything in between there. And then you have this switch here that is a bass cut. When you flip it, you're basically cutting all those low frequencies and it gives you a very unique sound. Then the other side is an Octave design, and it doesn't work like your classic Octavia. I feel like you really get that Octave effect all over the place here in the fretboard, which with those classic designs, a lot of the times you're gonna find that most of the Octave sounds happen in very specific places, like especially around the 12th fret, if you're playing on a neck pickup, if you're playing on a single coil. But in this case, they have tweaked it so that it works well all over the guitar. At least that's the way I'm perceiving it right now. And then you can also stack them. Once you stack them, it's just total mayhem. They sound crazy together. So yeah, I mean, it's a really cool pedal. I think that this is probably gonna be a really fun tool for whoever gets it. The fact that you have those two sounds, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. And the fact that you can either use them independently or together, stacked. So let's go ahead and start with the fuzz circuit first. mean, I'm having so much fun. This pedal is just one of those that you can't just stop playing. It's incredible. It's very addictive. And it sounds really good. I mean, as you can hear, each channel sounds phenomenal, but when you put them together, it's just crazy. So now onto the last pedal of this demo. Here we have the limited edition SM Fuzz NKT 275 germanium transistor in, you know, all black, which is just, first of all, a stunner. I love the looks on this pedal. The all blackout thing looks beautiful, and you know, also like the purple accents and all that. But it's not the only beautiful thing about this pedal. It also sounds phenomenal. So all of them sound great, but I feel like this one definitely takes the crown. There's something about it that is just so musical. It sounds nasty, and the way it feels under your fingers and the way it cleans up, it's just like if you had a magic wand and had to design the perfect fuzz, this would probably be it, at least for me. It sounds amazing. I think that a lot of that has to do with the transistor that is in it, which is an NOS hand-picked red dot NKT 275, which I believe is the same that were used in old Dallas Arbiter Fuzz phases. So it's a sound that at least I associate to that era of Hendrix, and immediately as soon as you turn it on, that's what, you know, comes to mind. Like the tone is spot on, you know, it sounds phenomenal. And again, these have been designed to kind of like counteract all of the drawbacks that normally happens when you use these type of parts that give you that vintage sound, but they're very unstable. So again, this pedal has the best of both worlds. You know, it sounds like a vintage fuzz, and it's built by hand, intended to be durable and stable, and it's just amazing all around. So let's go ahead and try it out for a bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So I think the key word to describe this pedal is dynamics. Again, I can't say this enough times. It's so amazing how much control you really get with one of these. Again, your volume control is your best friend here. It just behaves in a very musical way, and the fact that you can go from such beautiful clean sounds to distortion with just the roll of a knob, it's just amazing to me. It sounds fantastic. It's super fun. You have a lot of sustain, and it's a sound that it is instantly musical without getting too muddy, and it just sounds amazing. I mean, if you guys again get the chance to try one of these, give it a shot. They're super rare, and I believe that these transistors are hard to come by, so you know, get to try them before they're out and they cannot make them anymore. So with that said, guys, this is a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Check out any of these pedals. They're all available for sale in our website. The links are down below in the description, as well as, well, this amazing amp and this guitar. So definitely check them out, and visit wildgracevintage.com so you can see all of the amazing offerings that we have in store for you. If you guys like this type of content, follow us on Instagram at @wildgracevintage, and support us by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. My name is Sebastian. Until next time.